I consider this a betrayal. Victoria Sanders didn't raise her voice. She didn't have to. The words alone carried enough weight as she sat behind her massive mahogany desk, hands folded like a judge delivering a verdict already decided. I sat across from her, fingers wrapped tightly around my purse strap, not because I needed it, but because I needed something solid to hold on to. Being summoned to the CEO's office at 9 sharp on a Tuesday never meant anything good, but even I hadn't expected this. She tapped a printed email with a single manicured finger. "Don't bother explaining," she said coolly. "I know you interviewed with North Bay Solutions last Thursday. You took a half day. Claimed you had a dental appointment." My stomach dropped, but my face stayed still. "My name is Addison Walker. I'm 31 years old. And for 6 years, Harbor Point Communications had been my professional home. Or so I thought. In those 6 years, I'd tripled my client portfolio, generated millions in revenue, and stabilized accounts that other managers had quietly written off as impossible. I was dependable, consistent, profitable. None of that mattered now. Victoria slid my company ID across the desk. "Security will escort you to your desk," she continued flatly. "You may collect personal items only. Your email access has already been revoked." Just like that. No warning. No conversación. No acknowledgement of what I'd built. The injustice burned, but I forced myself to breathe. 3 times 3 consecutive years, I'd sat in this same office presenting data-backed cases for a raise. Market comparisons. Performance metrics. Revenue growth charts. Each time, I'd been met with the same rehearsed excuses. Tough budget year. Next quarter. Let's revisit this later. All while Victoria announced record profits at all-hands meetings and pulled up to work in a new luxury SUV. I stood slowly, smoothing my blazer. "I understand," I said calmly. For a brief moment, something like disappointment crossed her face. She'd expected tears, or panic, or begging. Instead, I extended my hand. "I wish you and Harbor Point continued success." She hesitated before shaking it, confusion flickering behind her polished exterior. Minutes later, a security guard hovered awkwardly as I packed 6 years of my life into a cardboard box. Family photos, desk plants, conference awards. My colleagues watched silently, eyes wide, but I smiled at them, reassuring, composed. No scenes. No drama. Just dignity. When I walked out through those glass doors for the last time, April sunlight warming my face, something clicked. Victoria thought she'd punished me. She couldn't have been more wrong. As I placed the box in my trunk, my phone buzzed. "David Clean, CEO, North Bay Solutions. Can we move our final discussion to today? 2 p.m.? I smiled. It's funny how 6 years of your life can fit into a single cardboard box. And even funnier how quickly everything can change once someone underestimates you. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. If this opening pulled you in, give it a like, it really helps the channel. Comment below. What would you have done in my position? The elevator ride down felt longer than it ever had. Not because I was scared, but because my mind was already racing ahead, replaying every conversation, every late night, every compromise I'd made for Harbor Point. I wasn't grieving the job. I was grieving the lie that loyalty had ever mattered. By the time I reached my car, my phone was buzzing again. Another message from David. "No pressure if today's too much. But I'd love to talk." I replied immediately. "Today works. See you at 2. I drove home instead of sitting in the parking lot spiraling like Victoria probably expected. I changed clothes, made coffee, and opened my laptop. Not to job hunt, but to review something I'd quietly been building for years. A private folder labeled Client Transition Notes. It wasn't malicious. It was professional habit. I tracked client pain points, unmet needs, growth opportunities, everything I wasn't allowed to act on because Harbor Point refused to invest where it mattered. I closed the folder without sending anything. Not yet. At 1:45, I logged into the video call. David appeared on screen, relaxed but focused. Behind him, a wall of whiteboards scribbled with strategy notes, messy, alive, collaborative. Nothing like Victoria's pristine office designed to intimidate rather than invite ideas. I heard what happened, he said carefully. I'm sorry. Thank you, I replied. It was unexpected. He nodded. Victoria called me. That got my attention. She accused me of poaching, he continued. Said you were disloyal. That she trusted you. I let out a soft, humorless laugh. Did she mention the 3 raises she promised and never delivered? David smiled knowingly. No. But she did mention your numbers. We spent the next hour talking shop. Not resumes. Not corporate platitudes. Actual work. Markets I'd stabilized. Clients primers de rascua. Strategies I'd pitched and been shut down on because they were too aggressive, which really meant they required courage. At the end, David leaned back. I won't insult you with vague promises, he said. We want you. Senior director. Immediate start. Salary increase. Full autonomy over your portfolio. My pulse steadied instead of spiking. I have one condition, I said. Name it. Non compete interference, he replied. I want everything clean. Above board. David nodded. Already handled. Yours was unenforceable the moment they fired you without cause. That was the moment the weight truly lifted. After the call, I sat quietly for a few minutes, letting reality catch up. Then my phone rang. Victoria. I let it go to voicemail. She left 2 messages. Then 3. Her tone changed with each one, controlled irritation sliding into sharp urgency. Addison, this situation has escalated unnecessarily. We need to discuss client obligations. You're creating instability. Instability. The same instability I'd warned her about for years if she didn't adapt. That evening, the first defection happened. Not because I asked. Because clients noticed. A long-standing account manager emailed me directly. I heard you're no longer with Harbor Point. Please tell me where you're going. We'd like to follow. I stared at the screen, heart pounding. I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded it to David. FYI, this may start happening. His response came seconds later. We're ready. By midnight, 3 more messages arrived. Different clients. Same concern. Not loyalty to me. Fear of being left in Victoria's hands. The next morning, Harbor Point's internal chaos spilled outward. A former colleague texted me. They're scrambling. Victoria's furious. Legal's asking who had access to what. I took a slow breath and typed back. I hope they find what they're looking for. Because the truth was simple. I hadn't stolen anything. I'd simply been the glue holding it together. And now that glue was gone. If this chapter is hitting close to home, give it a like, it really helps the channel. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. The shift didn't happen all at once. It started quietly. An email here. A phone call there. Until the pattern became impossible to ignore. Clients weren't leaving Harbor Point in a dramatic exodus. They were asking questions. Careful ones. Questions about continuity, leadership, and why the person who'd managed their accounts for years was suddenly gone without explanation. Victoria tried to control the narrative. She sent out a polished memo about organizational restructuring and exciting strategic changes. The language was confident, reassuring, empty. By then it didn't matter. Because confidence without competence only holds until someone checks the math. My first official day at North Bay Solutions felt surreal. No walk of shame. No cardboard box. No security escort. Just a welcome email, a clean desk, and a leadership team that asked me what I needed to succeed. Within the first week, 3 of my former clients formally requested transfers. Not because I asked. Not because I hinted. Because trust follows people, not logos. Victoria called again. This time I answered. Addison, she said tightly. We need to talk about the disruption you're causing. I didn't disrupt anything, I replied calmly. You fired me. You're leveraging relationships built on company time. I built those relationships, I said. You benefited from them. That's not the same thing. Silence crackled on the line. You're being vindictive, she snapped. No, iraplia. I'm being accurate. The call ended without a goodbye. 2 weeks later, Harbor Point announced a sudden leadership change. Victoria was stepping down to pursue other opportunities. The press release was short, carefully worded, final. I didn't celebrate. I didn't need to. The revenge wasn't watching her fall. It was watching the system correct itself. At North Bay, I finally rolled out the strategies I'd been shelving for years. Aggressive growth plans, transparent client communication, investments in talent instead of optics. The results came quickly. Revenue climbed. Retention spiked. Team stabilized. One afternoon, David stopped by my office. "You know," he said, leaning against the doorframe, "Victoria called me again." I raised an eyebrow. What did she want? She asked if we planned to keep hiring people from Harbor Point. And I told her we weren't hiring people, he said with a smile. We were attracting them. I laughed out loud, for the first time in weeks. That night, I sat on my balcony with a glass of wine, city lights blinking below. The fear I'd carried for years, the fear of rocking the boat, of being seen as difficult, of losing everything, was gone. In its place was something steadier. Respect. Not just from others. From myself. I thought about that moment in Victoria's office. The way she'd slid my ID across the desk like I was disposable. She hadn't destroyed my career. She'd freed it. Some people think revenge is loud, messy, public. But the most powerful kind is quiet. It's building something better, where you were told you didn't belong. It's thriving without needing to look back. And it's knowing deep down that being underestimated was the best thing that ever happened to you. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. If this story resonated with you, give it a like, it really helps the channel. Comment below. What would you have done in my place?